big breath right up past here, up into here. Yeah. Oh. Come all the way up into your head, up into your
Hello, Jack Pinter. You have been working now for more than 25 years with group and individuals. With all the confusion, difficulty, and disappointment of the today's world, what is it about people that keep you optimistic that we can change and improve ourselves?
We have an ever renewable source of energy inside of us. It's like a tremendous river. It's like a tremendous stream. And it's powerful, and it's hot, and it's vibrating. But we have a hard time accepting it because it's pleasure, it's anger, it's joy, it's sadness, it's confrontation, it's tranquility. It's all, and we can't accept all those things sometimes. It's hard to deal with those things because of what's happened to us around them. And my job is to help myself and to help other people get in touch with that tremendous vibration, that tremendous flow coming out. And we have to work at it all the time in a way. We have to enjoy it all the time. It's not something that we do one time. We come back to it.
But more specifically, why would a person want to come to you? Why would they want to receive a session of work with you?
Well, I think it's really important here to realize that I'm not coming with a method or technique by which I want to put people in categories. What I want to do is come to a person, and I want together with that person to discover what's happening. That is, I want to help you with your breath, and I'll breathe along with you, and we begin to find what's happening, how you feel as you're breathing, how your energy is flowing. And as that happens, we discover together possibilities for you to express yourself, for you to feel yourself, for you to be in contact with yourself and other people. As that happens, you really come out and become more of who you are. And your relationship to the world is very different. Your relationship to me is different. Your relationship to other people becomes different.
As I have watched you work with individuals, I see you continuously working with their breathing, pushing on their chest in exhalations, encouraging their inhalations. It looks impressive and exciting, but why it is important in helping a person change?
Yeah, well, breath is the key to energy. Looking at it rather simply, when we inhale, we're taking in energy, and when we exhale, we're giving it away. And we all have a rhythm of doing that, and this rhythm gets confused. Some of us take in a lot of air, but then can't quite let go of it and can't quite give away the energy, so we hold on to a lot and we pull ourselves back and we inflate ourselves and we're holding on to a big explosion on the inside. Or some of us all the time giving it away, exhaling like and collapsing, and we're always in the need of more energy because we're giving it away all the time. Point that all of us have these patterns of breathing and patterns of accumulating and giving away energy, and we get stuck in those patterns, which doesn't make life as flexible, as rich, as powerful as it could be. For example, we very often will fragment our energy. But we've got energy up here in the head, we've got energy down there in the legs, but somehow it's not really connected. Or, as I was just explaining, we inflate ourselves and hold on to energy. Or we try to suck energy, but we can't get enough of it because we're giving it away and leaking energy all the time. Or we're confused and holding back like that. Or we're compressing ourselves with all of this energy. And the breath is a key to getting hold of that configuration of energy, the way that we're holding on to it, the way we're we're really shaping ourselves all the time with energy. We shape ourselves as thin and contracted, or big and expanded, or chopped up and wiry, or whatever. You know, it's amazing to look at people and see this configuration of energy. When we talk about the breath, we're looking at an energetic cycle that's present in all of us. We all need to breathe slowly at the beginning to build our energy up, and then gradually let go of that energy. If, for example, I start very fast, like, oh yeah, I'm angry, I have violated myself in some way because I haven't respected the natural rhythm of life itself. And that is that there is a beginning. And I begin to build my energy, I begin to get into it, I go further. And then some point later on, I begin to feel things, I begin to express more, I begin to move more. And at some point I really peak in my energy, and then I come down. We're really trying to help a person experience that energy cycle as completely as possible. The feeling of getting started, the feeling of deepening, the feeling of going up high, the feeling of peaking and being on a plateau, and all the pleasure that comes with that, and coming down. It's a little bit like the sensual or sexual cycle too. It's true in making love that we all have to begin and reach a place that's very exciting and come down. And if we violate that, then there's a misuse of each other, there's dissatisfaction, there's sadness, there's emptiness. So in terms of method, this breathing, energetic approach is very important. Right up into here. Big breath right up into your Yeah?
I don't know how to breathe by the mouth or by the nose.
Mm-hmm. What if you breathe in through the mouth and let it come out through the nose? Or just do it all through the mouth? It doesn't matter too much as long as you get enough air coming in.
Breathe.
The breath come up through here. An open sound with that. Big breath and
I can see that just working with breathing can bring about a lot of changes, but surely there are other methods that are equally important.
there is a kind of armor that we have against this energetic cycle. A kind of carapace, stubborn armor. And it shows up both in our emotions and in our body. It shows up in our bodies in terms of bands of tension, concern around the eyes, like the anger around the mouth, or choking off feeling in the throat, or constriction in the chest, or a cut-off feeling in the diaphragm, or in the midsection of feeling of disgust that's covered up even, or the hidden feelings are very deep in the floor of the pelvis and in the legs. These are like bands of armor that keep us from vibrating, moving freely, flowing, being like a streaming energy. It keeps us from streaming. Right? And maybe right across here, with that, there's some tension right across here. Maybe it's almost like a little strip right around here, like this across here.
I feel it.
You feel it. Do you feel that in the back in some way? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But
So-
more in the front.
More in the front, okay. Then we could say maybe that there's a kind of a segment right around here that's squeezing in a bit, and you're trying to empty out more. It's really emptying out. There's some pressure right around here. Okay, let's take a breath and just feel that for a moment now. Or if you look at an earthworm that has bands, if you imagine some of those bands got frozen, then the earthworm could wiggle here The earthworm could wiggle here, but it couldn't wiggle in the middle. And we're a little like that sometimes. We're stuck in the middle with some bands here, or we're stuck up here and we can wiggle down below, but we can't wiggle up above. And to wiggle, is what we're looking for. So when the second method that I'm talking about is to look at these rings of tension and to work with them, to work with our hands and with around the eyes to help a person feel the tears, to feel the anger, to work around the jaw and the mouth, to proceed down through the body to help a person open up this Pandora's box. And let the feelings come right out of this channel of energy and work our way down toward the pelvis where a very deep explosion lies, where the vitality of life itself is, and allow that energy to come right up through here. So we have breathing energy technique, we have working directly with the rings of armor or bands of armor, and that's physical, stimulating, helping a person discharge the energy that's in these bands of armor, but it's also emotional. Claim what's there, feel what's there, express what's there. Good, let the sound come more, Sean. Let the sound come more. Even more. Yeah, nice.
Working with these segments can soften the body and help us express feeling that we accumulate inside of us. But isn't this temporary? Don't the physical tensions and blocked emotions come back again? It seems to me that it's not so easy to change lifelong attitudes.
Well, if we looked at our development in childhood, what we find is that there's certain points in our childhood where we're very susceptible to certain problems. Like when we're first being born, we need to be secure, and if we're not secure in the moment of birth into the family in which we come, there's the problem of fragmentation. That is, I'm trying to find my place in the world, and I try to find it with my head, or I try to find it with my arms, but I'm not really connected. I'm fragmented. Does that connect with the rest of your body in any way?
No, I just don't feel my arms. I don't feel my head. I don't feel my legs. I just, I'd like to be
your
a whole.
consciousness is really here, and you're not so connected with these parts out in here.
No, I don't even feel my head. I mean, I'm a sort of rational person, and I have to know what I'm saying and doing and what people are looking at. But when I inhale, I don't even.
You would like to be connected.
Yeah.
And then, as a baby, as we develop, another problem comes right after that. I need nurturing. I need nourishment. And if I don't get that, if the nipple is pulled away too soon, or mommy doesn't come when I cry, then you can see in me this tremendous need. And that's connected with the breath, that exhale in the breath and not getting enough. Or if we go on in this development, what we find is that there's another stage where I'm trying to stand up and walk in a proud way for mommy and daddy. I'm trying to meet the expectations of mommy and daddy rather than really being in myself. Mommy and daddy are trying to turn me into something, and I get all inflated and proud, and my whole life is an attempt to show mommy and daddy something. You can see that in the body. You can see that in the breath. You can see that in the energy. Or we go on further and we find that if mommy is always feeding me and keeping me on the toilet and feeding me and keeping me on the toilet, I get very responsible. Huh? I've got to do this, and I compress myself. You can see people with their tails tucked under. You can see people with a burden on their shoulders that are like this. And then finally, as we go on further in our development, we find that the little boy or little girl is there with their sensuality, their sexuality, and they want to give everything to mommy or daddy. They're offering everything, and mommy and daddy don't know how to handle it. So there's a broken heart. There's tremendous confusion in the young child. And so in our backs and in our bodies, there's this push and this pull, this confusion, this rigidity. And so in our development, there are all these things happening. We may not be just one of these, but all of us have some problems in our development. And it's important as we breathe, as we discover what we are, to get in touch with these deep, persistent patterns. And so I'm not just interested in helping a person kick and scream or cry or whatever. I'm also interested in what is the pattern underneath that. What is the character structure underneath that? What is the personality structure under that? And it's not that I can look at you and say, well, you're this and this and this. It's not that. That we together, by working with the way that you use your energy, begin to discover certain things that help you see what's there.
But it must be meaningful.
What do you want to say to the world out there that's looking at you, that's analyzing you? What do you want to say to that world out there? Speak to that world. Speak to those people out there. Speak to your parents. What do you say?
Speak to myself.
Yeah,
I'm
speak to
always
yourself.
talking to myself.
Yeah, put it out.
Nobody else is anyway, so might as well speak to myself. But I'd like them to hear it.
Say that. I'd like you to hear
I'd
it.
like you to hear it. I do live, and I am here.
Yeah, I exist, yeah.
But they know that. It's I just don't know it.
Yeah, you got to prove it to yourself. It's
Yeah.
okay. Say it.
I am alive, and I am well, and I feel good, and I want. I want myself to know it. I just don't. How come I just can't be what I am without just being it?
You've been talking about all these stubborn habits and difficulties that we have in your kind of work. You're always working with problems, but isn't it something pleasure too?
When I talk about these different patterns that we have, it's not that we have to say that all of that is bad and give all of that up, or I don't want to be inflated, or I don't want to be needy, or I'm fragmented. I'm not fragmented anymore. It's not that. It's what I find in my own life and in working with other people. What I find is that it's a question of accepting what we are. Oh yeah, I'm fragmented. I'm very fragmented, and I begin to play with it, and I accept it more, and as I accept what I am, I become more than what I am. And I get more energy, because if I spend energy denying who I am, then look at the loss. So as I accept what I am, the pleasure comes.
We need to be able to accept the unpleasant aspects of our lives. Maybe we even have to suffer.
Well, if we have suffering inside of us, I'm not saying how much we have. Everybody has everybody has pain in their life, and everybody has a different degree of suffering inside of them. In order to be fully ourselves, we have to be willing to accept that. I accept the pain that's inside of me. I accept the suffering that's inside of me. But as I do that, I free myself to feel more joy. I free myself to feel more pleasure by doing that. And so many people can't understand that. They think that they have to suppress pain and suppress suffering. At any given moment, this work might be painful, followed by joy, or sometimes it might just be an absolute pleasure, just, oh, God, it feels so great. It's many different things. And trouble is that sometimes people see screaming or shouting or exploding out of context. And this work is not just cathartic. It depends on what you mean by cathartic, but it certainly is releasing, but it's also reconstructing. That is, I not only release my old past, but I'm finding new ways to enrich myself and new ways to understand myself and new directions to go in.
This is something wonderful. I sort of feel myself being in my mother's somewhere in there.
Yeah, speak to her. Tell her how you feel being in there.
Come back, Mom.
Come back, Mom.
Oh, hi. Oh, this is wonderful. Oh, hi. You left me too soon. Yeah. Why didn't you stay just a month or two more. I wasn't ready to come out.
Really needed you, Mama. Yeah.
Yeah.
And go with this from inside. It's like a little movement inside. Yeah, let it come out.
You made me come out too soon. Shit. Mother, I want to come back. I'd like to come back just a couple months more. Shit, that'd be nice.
There seems to be a lot of emphasis on what happened in our childhood. Is what you're doing another kind of regression therapy where we have to relieve our childhood before we can be healthy?
Well, we don't have to start with you in a session and say, okay, what we're trying to do is get you back to the age when you were 3 years old. We're not trying to do that. What we're doing is starting with where you're at. It's always where you're at. And if in that process of breathing and becoming more conscious of yourself, feeling the sadness that's in your chest coming up, or feeling the anger down in your legs, or feeling your eyes not able to focus, if in that process certain memories come up, then they become important. And it's not that we're trying to take you back there and you're going to deal with that and it's over with. It's a fluid process. It's always what's important to you right now. And you are your past as well as your present as well as your future. And we want to talk about what you feel right now and about the future too. We want to help you feel your possibilities, not just talk about it, but help you feel in your body possibilities of you using your body tomorrow too.
I want to find out what I want to be.
Yeah, and is what you want to be just a repetition of what you've been? Or are you discovering that you can be something more than of what you've just been? But you need to also be willing to feel what you've been.
You've talked about many aspects of your work, and it seems to be a lot going on. But I sense that there is a clear order or procedure in your work. What are the basic steps of an individual session?
In a session, we want to make you secure. That is, we don't want to force you into anything. We don't want to take you beyond where you are at any given moment. And the idea is for me to with you together, to help you discover something. So I begin asking you how you feel in your breath, how you feel in your chest, and what's there, and to express that more, to go into those movements more. We finally bring you down into a position where you can breathe more easily. We could do it standing part of the time too, but generally it's a little easier for you to breathe lying down on your back. And we get into this energetic cycle that I talked about. And as we get into that energetic cycle, we take time doing that and at your own rhythm and your own pace, but at some point you're probably going to come up against the difficulty, because if you're breathing very deeply and beginning to exhale, some feelings come up, and maybe it's a sadness that you're not quite willing to accept, or maybe it's a fear that you don't want to get into, so we have to take it easy and back away from it, and we come back to it. It's kind of a big counter pulsation, a big counter wave. You're beginning to get into a rhythm, but there's a big wave from inside of you that keeps stopping you somehow. And so we want to respect that. But as we build your energy, maybe you reach a point where you can confront that wave and feel it more. And at that, it might not be in one session, it might be in several sessions, but if you begin to really get into that block and express what's there, then there's a tremendous release that comes. It's like, wow, God, I didn't even remember that had happened to me, and damn, I'm glad to get it off my chest, that kind of thing. And at that moment, the session's not finished, at that moment there is an opening to really playing with high energy, to feeling excitement, to feeling pleasure, to exploring. You keep moving, yeah. That's good, keep moving, it's okay.
Ma, je t'en ai pensé pour vous. Si tu me laisses, aujourd'hui,
Bouge.
je veux pas parler.
Yeah. Let it come through your teeth, yeah.
No!
to be... I'd like to be so much more confident in what will happen to myself.
And what does the other side of you say to that? The mother side of you, the good mother side of you, what does that side say?
Well, you just have to be more confident in yourself. You can be more confident. You just have to be yourself.
Even if there's some pain in it, even if there's some fear in it.
Yeah. That's what she's always said to me.
And it's good if you can also feel that she's there with that and accepting that too. You feel she accepts that?
Yeah, sure.
And what are you saying with... What are the words? If you turn those into words, what is that?
It's okay. It's
okay. Yeah.
It's okay. Everything's all right.
And let the breath come right up into here. Everything is all right.
Everything's all right.
Yeah, good. And then as we come toward the end of a session, we begin to see what does that mean for me in my life? Not just as a thought, but now as I breathe, I see that I could reach out more. Oh yeah, why have I not been reaching? Oh yeah, I can reach out to you, Mommy. I reach out to you. Yeah, and so at the end of the session, we begin to see this energy as something that we can really use. And we come down to a quieter space, coming back down. We're still vibrating, but we're not way up there now, and it becomes more meditative and calm. But here what we see is that movement in the body and with breath work and emotion and thought, all of those are together. There isn't the mind up here and the body down there. It's really a complete unity. Everything's functioning. Everything is, I would say, simultaneous, but that might give the wrong idea, because it's not a question of mind being simultaneous with body, because they're both the same thing, really. It's just different aspects of the same thing. So if you say simultaneous, it seems like, well, you're trying to get those two things together, but they're already together. We just don't want we need the lie detector test because we don't want to admit that they are together. They're the same thing.
You have created two approaches to working with body-mind: postural integration and energetic integration. What is the difference between the two approaches?
Over the years, I developed postural integration, which includes all of these things I've been talking about, but it has a focus on systematically working with layers of connective tissue. In the body surrounding the muscles, there are layers of envelopes. And it's a work where you gradually go in with the breath and with the emotions, all the things that we were talking about before, and systematically open and melt all of that tissue that's gotten hard and restricted. And in that sense, it's a very deep, very precise, very systematic work that opens all these layers of tissue. And the focus is on that.
C'est bon.
Ouais.
C'est bon. Ow. Ow.
C'est okay?
Okay. Ow.
Oui. C'est okay? Ça va?
Oui.
Profond dans mes draps. Ouais.
Oh.
Oui.
Ok, c'est bon. Hey, mon bras.
See if you can stay with that just as I move along here. Oh, big breath.
I feel good. I feel nice.
Breath right up into there.
It doesn't hurt anymore.
Or when it does hurt, you're strong enough to feel the pain and stay.
Yeah.
In energetic integration, which is in the same genre, the same kind of work, we're focusing a bit more on these bands of armor that I talked about, the rings of armor, and the deep character structure behind them, the fragmentation, the inflation, the neediness, the compression, and the rigidity. We want to really get down into those character structures. And I make a distinction because there's some practitioners who really love to work with the energy and the energetic flow and use their hands on these bands of armor and help a person get to certain deep patterns. There are other practitioners in the same style of work who are much better at going very deep into the connective tissue and rearranging it and helping a person really change the posture and the structure more. Very similar kind of work, but just a slight difference. Some practitioners are qualified to do both. And, but it depends on the door. There are different ways to enter into this work. Some people like to enter more through the energetic work, and other people like to work right into the tissue of the body more. And both kinds of work go in the same direction.
Does a person really need both postural integration and energetic integration? Could one approach be better for some person?
Well, it depends on where we're at any given time. If I'm a person who's very, very hard, maybe the practitioner has a lot of difficulty getting down past my hard skin, you know? It's like I'm tough as nails there, and just to even get in there is like, well, you're not going to hurt me. You'll never get to me. Maybe it's better for this person to take time to breathe and to vibrate and soften up with the breath work, and this deep work with the knuckles and the hands and the elbows is possible. It's not a violating work. It's always in the rhythm of the person, but it becomes more possible after the other. But the other way around, maybe there's somebody who can't breathe, you know, but they like to be touched really firmly. It's better to start with postural integration with a firm touch, and then the softer part of the breath work would come more easily later. So it's complementary. The work is always complementary.
Therapy has been around for a long time. In general, we know quite a bit about talking therapy, how it can take a very long time, and how it's sometimes difficult to know if we have made much progress. How does your work different from this traditional approach? Is it more effective or shorter?
Well, I think it's really important to distinguish this work, which is both body and mind, from, say, verbal therapy. Because in verbal therapy, maybe important things are happening, but there's not really a change in the whole structure. And we're always paying attention to how not only do the thoughts and emotions change, but also how the structure of the body changes. And when we work with someone, if there is a release, for example, it's not just a momentary catharsis. I mean, I can work with someone on the level of words, and I can get them to scream and shout. And that feels good, and it's kind of cathartic. But on the other hand, if I can work with someone and I can get them to open their chest and to open their throat, really structurally change the tissue that's there, then there is whole nother dimension there, and the change now is more stable and lasting and can be built on. But very often in verbal therapy you keep going back over and over and over again. Maybe there's some change, but it takes a very, very long time, and maybe the changes aren't nearly as complete, nearly as opening as in the case of the body-mind work, which is really there with everything at once. Now, I don't want to say that body-mind work doesn't take time. It does take time, because we cannot just crack open a structure that's been that way for 20 or 30 or 40 years. We want to give the person a chance to find their own rhythm, to open slowly, layer by layer. But we can also measure the process, the progress in that. We can measure how, yeah, now you're fuller here. Yeah, you're more mobile here. So it's really beautiful to see how you know where you're going in a way. You also confront very deep things, and you're very confused and very said sometimes, but you also can mark your progress.
Okay. You use breathing, and you work with the body armor and the character structure. These are all aspects of William Reich approach. Do you consider yourself as a Reichian or a neo-Reichian?
Yeah, well, I'm very much indebted to Reich because he opened up this whole area of energy work. And in some ways, I could say my work is Reichian or post-Reichian because I've taken many of those ideas and I have really elaborated them and worked them. I think it's important to realize that the energy cycle is much richer, more complex than he saw it. He talks about sexual economy, and what he means by that is that what you have to do is spread out your energy, get your energy cycle right. If you get your energy cycle right, then you will be sexually potent, you will have pleasure, and you will be in a loving contact with your partner or with the world. And that's fine, except I think one thing lacking in Reich there is his realization that in getting your own energy cycle right, getting it to flow, there needs to be a dynamic interaction with the rest of the world, with the practitioner in the case of these sessions. So that goes back to what I was saying before. There needs to be a really understanding communication and interaction happening. Reich, of course, in one sense did that, but he was so, he would get so angry, he would, if you didn't do exactly what he wanted, he'd explode and accuse you of all kinds of things. It was good to see that he was willing to give some of his feelings, but he wasn't so open to the exchange. He was more authoritarian. And I'm really saying in this kind of work, it's the evolution of feelings between two people and discovering patterns and so on. That is really one of the most important bases of this work. And in that sense, it's not Reichian. It goes beyond Reich, I think, or it's different from Reich, or whatever you want to say. Also, I don't think Reich really fully understood the structure of the body. I mean, he was a pioneer, and he turned toward the body when other psychoanalysts were going into their head more and more. But he didn't really understand the fascia, the layers of fascia in the body, and the difference between the outside structure of the body and the deep inside structure of the body in terms of its physical structure. And we've come a long way since then. And my work over the years, the past 20 years, has been to really work with layers of fascia and to understand how when the outside is releasing, what happens on the inside with the tissue. When you're working on deep tissue, what happens to the outside, and how do you circulate the energy from the inside to the outside. Those are things that Reich never concerned himself with. So I would say, yes, I'm in this tradition, but there's certain things that are very different, certain things that I would consider even more important.
Your work is very powerful, but it also seems very demanding for the practitioner. Doesn't a person need training in many fields before becoming a practitioner?
Well, the training programs that we have are programs that are very thorough. 3 years with lots of practice, work on an internship involved at the end of the training. And it's not that we're saying that you have to be a psychiatrist, or you come to us for this training with a certain kind of specialty. Well, we're not saying that. What we're saying is people who come to us for training are people who like contact with people, and who are empathetic with people, and who are willing to take the training in a disciplined and committed way. And that takes time. It takes time to experience the different breathing rhythms, the different kind of patterns that are there. Of course, we do get many psychotherapists who come into our work, and they need to learn to work with the body more. And we get people who come from movement awareness and massage. They need to learn more about the psychological aspect of the work. But we, rather than emphasize the traditional kind of psychotherapy or psychology, we want to say this is a very rich, personal kind of interactive therapy. Very often in traditional point of view, you have the therapist needs to keep a great distance. But this work is a dynamic, interactive work where the practitioner shows himself and expresses his feelings. And it's difficult to do that too. You have to learn how to work your way through that because lots of stuff comes up. But it's also very rich. And for me, it produces much greater change for both the client and the practitioner than a technique which keeps the practitioner at a distance. And so a practitioner is always worrying about transference and counter-transference.
Like I'm all there.
Say that again, I'm all there.
I'm all there. Je suis toute là. Je me sens bien.
I feel you more there too. When I started feeling some of your anger too, I felt you really there.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted your anger. I hope I did. I wasn't pushing you too far.
No.
Yeah, good.
No, you weren't.
I felt the need for your anger. That makes me also feel that you're there when I feel your anger. Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're there. Yeah. What's really important is communication and sharing and exchange and willingness for both people to work through their problems together, rather than me coming as someone who has the solution, me the practitioner, I come in. Well, I'm going to keep a distance. I'm going to ask the right kind of questions. I'm going to watch. I'll say, well, that comes next, and maybe we should try this. And no, I come and I work and I feel and I sense what's happening to you, and you feel me, and I encourage you to express that, and I encourage you also to want to listen to me, and we discover something together.
Now that you have worked all these years all over the world, where do you think you're going next with your work?
Where am I going with this? God knows. Yeah, I have a need. I have. I need to inflate sometimes. I want to be important. I want to go out there. I want to touch the world. But I also have a need to receive. And the more people I see and am in contact with, the richer that is for me too. I mean, to be with people who show me their intimate sides, that really enriches me to feel that and to see that. That's a tremendous reward. Yeah. So I have a very big family all over the world, an enormous family, very intimate families, incredible. I stop sometimes and say, my God, how did I get such a big family?
Well, in the name of this big family, thank you, Jack. It was a pleasure to meet you.